I was pretty devastated when I found out that I tested positive for Strep B. It was not what I was expecting. I did not have Strep B with my first pregnancy, so I was quite surprised how I could contract this and where it came from. But my doctor assured me that sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. In fact, you can test positive at maybe 32 weeks and negative at 36 weeks. There are some pretty severe consequences if you were to pass Strep B onto your baby. Now, the common form of treatment is antibiotics, and I do not support those in general. Now, in specific situations, absolutely. But I do think that, especially when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s, they kind of prescribed those for everything, and it really does wipe out all the good stuff too. And so I was initially concerned about doing antibiotics during labor. I needed other mommy advice, and I was talking to everyone, and I happened to talk to two of my favorite YouTube friends here, Victoria Pottle and Everything Erica, and they were kind enough to collaborate with me and share their experiences. So here they are, what they did, why they chose the path they chose, and how they prevented their children from contracting Strep B.
I'm Erica from Everything Erica, and I am one of those lucky 25% of people that has tested positive for Group B Strep while pregnant. When I found out that I tested positive for Group B Strep, I was pretty disappointed. Mostly because I just didn't want to have to deal with the issue of it. I knew that they recommend that you have antibiotics during labor if you test positive for Group B Strep. I think antibiotics definitely have a time and a place for their usage, but I am not somebody who turns to medicine as a first resort. It's kind of something that I will turn to if all else fails. So the fact that it was kind of just set that I needed to use antibiotics while in labor wasn't something that I was super enthused about. I kind of did some research on it, and I talked over the pros and cons of antibiotic usage with my midwife, and I ultimately decided that yes, I would go ahead with the antibiotics because I just wasn't comfortable with the statistics of a 1 in 200 chance of passing on the Group B Strep to your child without antibiotics rather than a 1 in, I think it's 2,000 or 4,000 chance of passing it on if you have the antibiotics. I just personally felt a lot better with the 1 in thousands chance rather than 1 in 200. And mostly I just wanted to know that because I had this bacteria in my body that I did do everything that I could to not pass it on to my unborn child. I am happy with the decision I made based on how my labor and delivery went. My water did not break until I was actually pushing. So I was probably about I don't know, half an hour into pushing before my water even broke. So that was really great that he was still in the membranes and protected that way. But I pushed for 4 hours, so he was in that birth canal for quite a long time. And I actually had to have 2 rounds of antibiotics because it had already been too long since I had the first round before I even gave birth. Oliver is now almost 18 months old, and I have not seen any negative effects from having the antibiotics. There wasn't anything about him being a newborn that seemed kind of off. He was incredibly healthy his entire first year. His first sickness was actually when he was like 13 months old. So one thing that makes me feel a lot better about the fact that I had antibiotics and he might have missed out on some of the good bacteria on his way out into this world is the fact that I did breastfeed for 14 months, because I know that breastfeeding not only gives really great nutrients, but they do get the probiotics and things like that from you as well. So that just was really comforting to me, the fact that I knew that I was kind of replenishing things and giving my baby a really healthy start that way. And if you are formula feeding, you can also give your baby probiotics to kind of help with anything the antibiotics might have wiped out as well. Ultimately, I think you need to do what feels best for you, so what you are most comfortable with, what you talk to your provider about, and that will be the best decision for you and your baby. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Hi guys, my name is Victoria and my channel is youtube.com/Victoria Pottle, Pottle, and I've been asked by Patricia from Patricia Keel to come on and talk about my experience with Group B Strep. So I have 3 children and I have 3 completely different experiences. My first child was born at 38 weeks vaginally, and I was Group B Strep positive with him. My second was born at 34 weeks by C-section because she was breech, and I didn't get to the point of testing for group B strep with her, so I did not receive any type of antibiotics with her. And my third child was 39 weeks vaginally, and I was group B strep negative. So completely different experiences. Now with my son, my water broke at home. I immediately went into the hospital. I received the antibiotics. It was never a question for me whether or not to receive the antibiotics. I completely believe in them, and I believe that the dangers of group B strep and passing that on to your child are much greater than any risks associated with antibiotics. So I received the IV and antibiotics when I was admitted. I had no issues whatsoever. I had a really great labor and delivery. It was 6 hours from water breaking at home to baby being born. He was a healthy size. He was very healthy. He breastfed with no issues. And he's been a really healthy little guy. He's 5 years old now. He's had your typical colds and flu, but nothing at all out of the ordinary. He's only been to the doctor a couple of times because of illness, and nothing out of the ordinary for a child his age. Now, my third experience where I was group B strep negative, Patricia asked if I did anything different to achieve a negative result, and the answer is no. I didn't do anything different. I had a very similar pregnancy, very smooth pregnancy. I did not do one thing different to achieve a group B strep negative result. I guess I was just lucky that time. Now, I did receive an IV, even though I did not require antibiotics, because our hospital has a policy that if you are going for a VBAC, you get an IV. Now, that's something that I am not fully in support of, because I know it being hooked up to an IV and continually monitored can decrease your chances of having a successful VBAC, but it did not in my case. And I probably would have had the IV anyway, just because I am a bit of a higher risk person for a whole bunch of other reasons. But I did not require any antibiotics with my third. So I think that is everything that Patricia wanted us to cover, and thanks so much for putting this together. I think it's a really, really interesting topic, and I look forward to hearing everybody else's responses. Thanks for watching.
So after listening to their stories and doing some more research, I decided that I will also go ahead and receive the antibiotics. If you're in a position where you're still in your first or second trimester or early third, I kind of do think there are things you can do to balance out your pH down there. Now, I don't know what I did differently the first and second time, so I had to look at my diet. I was taking my fermented cod liver oil more consistently the first time, as well as I was taking probiotics more consistently the first time. So those were two things that I regret not doing throughout the entire pregnancy for my second pregnancy. Drinking apple cider vinegar, I've heard, can help. Those delicious kombucha drinks, garlic supplements, I've heard. So I'm going to link Mommy Potamus. She has a great insight because she has 3 children and has had 3 different experiences as well. And I'll also link Wellness Mama. These are some of my favorite bloggers. So those articles can help you. If you've heard my labor and delivery story, you know that my water broke about 24 hours before Olivia was born. And they say that if it breaks 18 hours before the baby's born, that's a high risk. So maybe I contracted it at that point. I really don't know. But the point is, I don't want to pass it on to my child. I have no symptoms, but if she got it, she would definitely have some symptoms. Let's just remember that we love our children and we're all doing what we think is best for them, and that's all we can do. I hope Erica and Victoria and myself have helped you make your decision. Go to their channels, show them some love, subscribe, because they both have really interesting perspectives on motherhood. So thank you for watching, and let's have healthy babies, you guys. See you in the next Mommy Mayhem. Bye.